My name is Christina Dennis, and I've been a DIY decor content creator since 2009. What started as a passion for transforming drab spaces into vibrant havens has now turned into something bigger, something life-changing. I'm supporting our entire family with the income from the DIY Mommy blog, YouTube channel, and social media platforms. But it didn't happen overnight. It took countless hours of brainstorming, creating, and sharing content about what I love the most: budget-friendly DIY decor and home improvement projects. Now I'm ready to share all of my secrets, tips, and strategies that helped me turn my passion for DIY decor into a full-time career, supporting my family along the way. Are you ready to transform your hobby into a successful career? Welcome to the Six Figure Creator Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to my podcast, formerly Dear DIY Mommy. You might see the name change now wherever you find your podcasts. I've changed the name to the Six Figure Creator Podcast. The reason being is that I wasn't seeing a lot of growth with sharing my DIY decor ideas on the podcast, which makes sense to me because I feel like those things are more visual. People want to see how these things are created, hence the reason why I started my YouTube channel and the social channels sharing videos for the DIYs in the first place. So after looking at all the analytics in the podcast and just thinking over things and hearing from you, hearing from my fellow DIY decor content creators or people that want to get into the content creation business, I thought that I would do a pivot with this podcast and transform it into something that shares more behind the scenes of what it's actually like to do what I do. I think a lot of you are just curious to know what a day-to-day looks like for me, because maybe you want to do it yourself, or you're just interested in how it all works, how my husband Sean works with me at home, how we manage the kids, how I even started making money with this business. I know a lot of you are just interested about a side hustle. A lot of us are feeling the pressure of how high things have been costing lately, and we all kind of want a way to perhaps make more of an income and be able to support our families and pay for these extra costs. Plus, I know a lot of you are really passionate about making things, about decorating and DIYing, and a really fun way that you can turn that into a side hustle is having a content creation business or becoming an influencer. I like the term content creator much better than influencer, but essentially they are one and the same. So that being said, I want to officially welcome you to this new podcast that I have. If you were here solely for the DIY decorating tips, I hope you'll stay just out of curiosity to hear what life is like. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. I'm still sharing all of my DIY decorating budget-friendly ideas on my blog, thediymommy.com, YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at The DIY Mommy. I do have a new website for this podcast. It is thesixfigurecreator.com. So I hope you follow me along there. I will be leaving all the show notes there. Plus I have some free resources for you if you're considering getting into the content creation business. Plus I'll be sharing more blog posts there too. So I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope it inspires you and encourages you as you consider how you can create more of an income just from home. So I thought I would kick off this new podcast with a backstory on how I got into this business. It was by accident. When I was growing up in the, we'll say, late 80s-ish, there was no such thing as content creation. There was no such thing as the internet. So I never, even in my wildest dreams, thought that I would become a YouTuber, blogger, etc. When I was little, I was hoping to, at one point, be a teacher, at another point, be a graphic designer, at another point, be a famous singer. So lots of different things. My very first job was when I was 14 years old. I taught piano lessons. And so I've always been an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've always loved the idea of having my own business. Really love marketing, creating logos. I created my logo for my piano lessons and my voice lessons. So I've always really loved that. And My mom was a really good example to me of someone that was, staying home and looking after her kids, but then also she had a reupholstery business, so she was really leaning into her creative side as well. Started at 14 teaching music lessons, and loved that. That was a great side gig for me as a student. Then when I graduated high school, I was either going to go into music, into singing, or I was going to go into graphic design. I chose music. So I went to a college, which is now a university here in Edmonton, called Grant MacEwan, and I did their 2-year music performance diploma. I've always loved singing. I've always enjoyed performing, which is kind of funny because I am a huge introvert. I definitely thrive off of alone time. I love people, but I need to have that break from people. But then it's strange because when I get on stage, I really enjoy that for some reason. So loved the singing thing, gigged around a little bit with a jazz trio and a wedding band. Then realized that I didn't really want to sell everything and move to Nashville or live in a van or go to LA. That just wasn't really the lifestyle that I wanted. I did want a family, and I did, really, hope for that. And being a quote unquote famous singer wasn't going to line up with that. So then after I did that, I went back to school, back to college, and I did a graphic design diploma. So after I did that, which was my other passion with music, I had my own website and graphic design business. And then during that, I met my husband, Sean. He wasn't like any other boy that I dated. All the other boys were musicians. He was in the trades, an electrician, and amazing, stable, hot, all those things. So we fell in love. We got married. I had my own graphic and website company. And then my first daughter came along. And at that point, I realized that owning my own graphic website company was just too stressful with having a newborn baby. So I sold that company. And then when my daughter was 6 months old, I started a blog. And at that point, blogs were just new. They've only been around for maybe 3 years at that point. It was about 2000. I know exactly what it was. It was June 2009 that I started the blog. And I thought, hey, this could be a fun way to share what I love to do, which is making things. So I wanted to focus it on making baby items specifically. So sewing bibs and, making handmade baby wipes and all that stuff. So that's why I chose the DIY Mommy, because I was like, okay, we're going to blog about mom stuff and DIY. So the blog was born, and it was just a really fun way to be creative. I could use my graphic design skills. I could sew and all that and take photos. I've always loved photography and editing my photos and share, and I always loved writing. So I did that, maybe once a week or once a month, I would add a new post to that blog. And then I realized, you could actually monetize a blog by putting ads on it. So I did have a couple Google ads, I think, on there, made a few cents a week. And I kind of hoped in the back of my mind that maybe I would eventually turn this into some sort of part-time gig and wouldn't have to go back into graphic design. And then it wasn't until about 2012 when we started building our home. So prior to this, we lived in a garage house on our property. I share the pictures of this and everything on my blog, thediymommy.com. Just search garage house and then you'll find it on there. But we lived in a garage, finally had enough money to build a house. We were expecting our third baby at this point, so we definitely needed something larger. And then at that point, I thought, hey, I'm starting to see fellow bloggers reach out to brands to work with them. So whether to get free material from them or maybe even get paid from them. So why don't I put together a media kit for my blog, and I'm going to reach out to Home Depot, Lowe's, Home Hardware, etc., and see maybe if they want to sponsor with free material only some things for our new build, because that would really help us because we're broke. So that was really my driving force behind starting to reach out to brands. I put together a media kit. I think I was at about 30,000 views per month on my blog at this point, so doing quite well with the content that I was already sharing. And then to my delight and surprise, all of the brands wrote me back. And so I chose my favorite one, which at that time was Lowe's. and they gave us all of the flooring, all the tile, all the paint for our house. So it was a huge blessing. I was just over the moon excited to be working with them and getting this free stuff. So then that was 2012. At that point, I was like, you know what? I bet I could create a part-time job out of this blog and not have to go back to graphic design and do this, because I love this. I love making stuff. I love sharing it. I love editing photos and all of this. So that it was really the pivot point for my whole blog. That's when I realized I could make an income off of it. So I started asking for not only free product, but payment, because when you get free product, long story short, you got to pay taxes on it. And of course, there's other things you have to pay for. You can't pay your mortgage with free product. So then I started asking for payments from brands. That started going well. And then in 2015, I got my first big sponsor, which was The Brick. So they're a home improvement store in Canada. I won a home design contest, and that was how I connected with them. And they sponsored a few blog posts a month and a video, and it was a contract that I signed for, I think, 2 years at that point. So it was what I feel like was my first big break. So thank you to The Brick. That was amazing. And that was really the beginning of my steady income. So that was 2015, I believe, 2015. So that was really the point where I started making a decent income. So from then till now, I have been able to grow that income, and now I am the sole income provider for our whole family of 5. And my husband is a general contractor, and he was doing that while I was growing the blog. He still does that now. He has, all of his licenses and insurance and stuff, so that we can work together on things, and we have all the proper paperwork and things if we're doing some room makeovers for other people and sharing those on the blog. So he kind of does that off and on. He helps me a lot, and I'll probably do a podcast with him later on in the season, just chatting about exactly how we work together on the blog, YouTube channel, etc. And then also in 2015 was when I started the YouTube channel. I never really wanted to. I'm okay now, but definitely at that time I didn't like to see myself on video, which I know is very common. A lot of us feel that way. But people were just really wanting to see how things were made on video, and I understand that. So I started the YouTube channel, and then that really did accelerate the growth of my brand. And then, of course, from that was starting Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. So that is my journey. That's how it happened. Again, never thought this would be my career, but it is. I've been making multiple 6 figures for a while now. Next year is the 15th anniversary of when my blog was born. So that was really one of the things that made me think, you know what? I really need to chat more about the behind the scenes of all of this. There's so many questions. I know a lot of you would love to be doing this as a career as well. And I'm here to help you. I really want to help. I'm an open book. I don't want to gatekeep the things that I know about the industry. And I've always felt that way. I feel like there is enough pieces of the pie for all of us. And there still is, even with the amount of people doing social media right now, YouTube and content creation, influencing. So I think that there's enough room for you if you feel like you want to get into this business. I have a lot of experience in this business, and my goal for this podcast and the website, the6figurecreator.com, is to help you. I want to help you. I want to inspire you. I want to give you all the tools that you need to either grow your current content creation business or start one from scratch. So with all of that being said, I want to hear from you. What do you want to hear on this podcast? I'm hoping to share everything from how to create a website to how to grow your Instagram to how to price sponsorships, all that stuff. I'm also hoping to have some fellow creators on this podcast so I can chat with them and share insights from them with you as well. So head on over to the6figurecreator.com, go to my contact page, send me all of your questions, all of your burning questions. I want to answer them here, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you're excited about this reboot. I certainly am. I'm going to be on here every Tuesday morning, so make sure to tune in on your favorite podcast network, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.